In 1933, the German state was mathematically deleted. The country had no gold, no credit rating, and a treaty that forbade it from borrowing a single mark to build an army. Yet, just 4 years later, Germany had constructed the most terrifying military machine in history. They achieved full employment, while the rest of the world was still starving in the Great Depression. Historians call this the German economic miracle. But miracles don't exist in economics. Crimes do. They didn't find oil under Berlin. They didn't find gold in the Alps. They found a loophole. To understand how the war actually started, you have to ignore the speeches and the rallies. You have to look at the boring, gray piece of paper that made it all possible. It was designed by a man named Hjalmar Schacht. Schacht wasn't a fanatic. He was a wizard, with spreadsheets instead of spells. A brilliant, arrogant banker who viewed the Nazis as uneducated thugs, but he loved a difficult problem. And in 1933, Hitler gave him an impossible one. Build me an army, but don't pay for it. If the government printed money, it would trigger hyperinflation. If they borrowed money openly, the world would see the debt and sanction them. So, Schacht decided to invent a ghost. So, how do you hide an army in a ledger? Schacht created a dummy company called Metallurgische Forschungsgesellschaft, MEFO. On paper, it looked like a boring industrial conglomerate. In reality, it had a share capital of just 1 million marks. It had no factory, no employees, no products. Its board of directors was just 4 military officers dressed in civilian suits, sitting in an empty room. Here is the mechanics of the fraud. When the government ordered a tank from Krupp, they didn't pay in Reichsmarks. They paid in a MEFO bill, a promissory note issued by this ghost company. Now, if you are the CEO of Krupp, why would you accept a worthless IOU from a company that doesn't exist? This is where Schacht was a genius. He didn't force them. He bribed them. He offered the industrialists a deal. Accept these bills, and you can trade them at any German bank for cash, immediately. And if you hold them, they will pay you 4% interest per year. In the middle of a depression, 4% was a fortune. The CEOs looked at the offer, they looked at their empty factories, and they made the rational choice. They took the paper. But here's the detail that most history books miss. The MEFO bills had a lifespan of exactly 6 months. After 6 months, they had to be paid back. If the government had to pay them back that quickly, the scheme would have collapsed in 1934. So Schacht added a tiny, bureaucratic clause. The bills were renewable, indefinitely. At the end of 6 months, you didn't get your money back. You got a stamp, extending the bill for another 3 months, then another stamp, then another. It was a carousel. The bills circulated from the arms manufacturers to the banks, and back again. They became a shadow currency, money that's spent like money, but didn't count as inflation because it wasn't technically money. And the most terrifying part, it was invisible, because the bills were technically a private transaction between the ghost company and the manufacturers. They never appeared on the government's budget, and because the central bank didn't technically own them, they didn't appear on the national balance sheet. Foreign auditors looked at Germany's books and saw a balanced budget. They saw stability. Meanwhile, in the shadows, half of the entire German rearmament program was funded by money that, legally speaking, did not exist. And the scale of this illusion was staggering. By 1937, there were not just a few bills floating around. The MEFO system had absorbed 12 billion marks. To put that in perspective, that was more than the entire amount of currency circulating in Germany at the time. Schacht had effectively doubled the money supply. In secret, he had built a parallel economy, invisible to the public, owned by the military. But Schacht had built a trap for himself, and he didn't realize it until it was too late. By paying the industrialists in debt, he had made them accomplices. If the Nazi regime collapsed, the MEFO Bills would become worthless paper. Krupp and Siemens needed Hitler to stay in power, just to get their money back. Schacht hadn't just funded the war, he had bought the loyalty of the entire capitalist class, using their own money. But a Ponzi scheme relies on one thing: velocity. You have to keep printing new bills to pay the interest on the old ones. By 1938, the carousel began to wobble. The economy was overheating. There were labor shortages, raw material shortages, and the bills were coming due. The renewable stamps were running out of space. Schacht went to Hitler and told him the party was over. He said, "Stop the spending. We are bankrupt. If we print one more bill, the currency dies." Hitler didn't listen to the accountant. He fired him. Because dictators do not care about solvency. But solvency cares about dictators. The bill was finally due. Germany had weeks, maybe days, before total default. They needed hard assets, gold, foreign currency, and they needed it immediately. This is the alt logic. This is the part of history that gets buried under the ideology. We are told the Nazis invaded Austria in March 1938 for Lebensraum, or for the glory of the German people. That is the cover story. Here's the forensic truth. They didn't invade Austria just for living space. They invaded because the Austrian National Bank held 78,000 kilograms of gold. They invaded because they were bouncing a check. While the cameras focused on the parades in Vienna, special units went straight to the vaults. They seized the gold, loaded it onto trucks, drove it back to Berlin, and used it to pay the interest on the MEFO bills. It was a bank robbery, disguised as a military operation, and it bought them another year. But that is the nature of the beast. Once you start, you cannot stop. To pay for the next year, they needed the gold in Prague. To pay for the year after that, they needed the wealth of Poland. The war machine wasn't just driven by hate, it was driven by a margin call. Hjalmar Schacht survived the war. He was acquitted at Nuremberg. He died a wealthy man in 1970. Why? Because he proved that arithmetic is not a war crime. But his invention did not die with the Third Reich. We didn't kill the monster, we hired it. Look at the financial systems of today. We do not call them MEFO Bills anymore. We call them special purpose vehicles. We call them off-balance sheet liabilities. We call them Repo 105. When Enron hid its debt in ghost companies, that was a MEFO bill. When Greece used currency swaps to hide its deficit to join the euro, that was a MEFO bill. When banks moved risky assets into shadow conduits to avoid capital requirements, that is a MEFO bill. The mechanism is identical. Create a ghost. Move the debt to the ghost. Pretend the ghost is solvent. So the next time a politician tells you that deficits don't matter, or a central banker tells you they have unlimited tools, don't listen to the speech. Look for the ghost. Ask yourself, where is the debt hiding? And what happens when the renewable stamp finally stops working? Because systems do not collapse when they are immoral. They collapse when the paper comes due. That is the lens, not fear, not conspiracy, just structure. And structure does not negotiate.
If this way of thinking makes sense to you, subscribe.